The Interview Show would like to thank Cards Against Humanity, Lifeway Foods, It Takes Guts, Field Notes, vintage-styled, made-in-the-USA pocket notebooks at 401 North Racine in Chicago or fieldnotesbrand.com, and Lagunitas. Beer speaks, people mumble, except on The Interview Show.
How are you? Why is that?
It was a really hard question. It's one of the trickiest ones. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I guess I don't fundamentally get is I don't know whether you call me a helpless optimist. Nobody's ever called me that before, but I feel that I could go and you could go and most people that I know could go anywhere and vice versa and find commonality, find common ground. And so when I read article after article about how you're in a bubble and they're in a bubble and we don't even have the beginnings of understanding of what other people go through unless they're in your bubble. Right. The one hand I say, yeah, that makes sense. On the other hand, I think, yeah, but my experience in life is that I go and I talk to somebody and maybe you talk about family. Maybe you talk about something as silly as sports. But at the end of the day, there is that commonality. So why does that break down at the political level so
Because
much?
people aren't voting on sports and family.
True.
Right? They're voting on... So there's a few theories that you hear about this Trump phenomenon. One is that it's just a racial phenomenon. And if that's true, then good luck breaking that. There's another theory, though, which is that it's about economic loss. That there are parts of the country that have lost jobs, that have seen population shrinkage, lack of opportunity, that there was a generation ago the coal mine or the steel mill with a union job, with healthcare and the pension. And now not only is that gone, but if you have a job, it's part-time, there's no retirement opportunities, there's no healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So if you were to talk to someone in a town, and there are towns all over Illinois where that is the experience, you would learn a lot from them, you would have a really great sharing experience, but your common ground would be about sports and family. Your common ground wouldn't be, here's my economic reality.
True, but no buts.
No buts. Here's the but. I'm so glad because I want to do the but, but I paused for just too long.
Yeah.
You leap
Well,
in there.
No, I was putting in your words, so you can continue with the sentence.
How do you anticipate the but?
But you don't have to say it. I just said it. But
this better be really good when we get there. But
no, you don't have to say the but. But
if I say you win, can we go on?
Yeah.
But my job.
I feel like we had a vaudeville act going there for a second.
One of us did,
right,
and the other one was the straight man.
Yeah.
My job is to produce public policy prescriptions that don't assume unity of experience, but are unifying in their solutions, right? There are solutions that work for a town that's shrunk because the manufacturing plant left and also work for Oak Park. I have to build those solutions, and I have to sell both populations on those solutions. What makes it hard is if there's somebody running for office on a platform, if it's that other guy whose fault it is.
You have a quote. It's the same advice I give myself when I'm trying to work through difficult issues in my marriage, or that I give my children when they're trying to work through difficult issues in their school. You have an opportunity to teach resolution if you start with the places you are closest together. Draw the Venn diagram. There are places that you agree, places that you viciously disagree, and there are places that you are sort of in between. So the obvious question is, when you fight with your wife, do you break out and draw a Venn?
As you read that out loud, I noticed that it sounded like I often tell my children to draw Venn diagrams and then come back to me with proper shading having been done.
But I mean, take that quote, because you said it, and I love it, and put that into practical use.
So I said that quote, and I say it all the time. I try to say it less pedantically, or at least less.
Yeah, I was just, it was just the way it reads on paper that way.
Yeah, right.
So I just did that interpretation.
Do you want me to read it out loud? If it might sound better coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, I say that about our Springfield situation.
Yeah.
Right. About if you want to be sort of artificially neutral about it, about Rauner and Madigan and the Democrats, but if you want to be real about it, about Rauner. Because, why is that funny?
Super partisan, totally against the quote.
No, I'll say lots of other stuff against Madigan later. This particular topic is against Rauner.
Okay.
Because Rauner came into office with this like crazy ideological right-wing agenda. He wanted to be Scott Walker on steroids. He wanted to be like Sam Brown back in Kansas, all this stuff. And that's cool. Like you can have opinions. Your opinions can be whatever you want them to be. But we had a Democratic supermajority in both the House and the Senate. And when Scott Walker did his Scott Walker stuff, he had a big Republican majority in their House and the Senate. Same with Rick Schneider in Michigan, same when they did stuff like that in Indiana, Ohio, Kansas, etc.
It was incumbent upon him to compromise, and he didn't.
It wasn't that he said, I won't ever compromise. He said, here's what we're going to do first. We're going to work out the stuff that we have very, very, very strong, deeply held opposing points of view. And then once we do that, we'll get around to the things where we mostly agree. And basically, ever since he said that, we've been screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And I would say, dude, you get to disagree with me. You get to hate unions while I think that unions are important to grow a thriving middle class. That's, the First Amendment. But let's put that aside for a second and do the stuff we agree on, like we should have a balanced budget, like we shouldn't be punishing homeless people and the mentally ill for no reason. But right now, we're punishing homeless people, the mentally ill, and school children because we're not going to agree about the other stuff. And sorry, we're just not going to agree because there are things that people disagree about.
So I have you, we do the show as a live show. We've been doing it at the bar here at the Hideout for 8 years. And I've had you on, I think, twice in the past. So basically every 3 years, I have you on to tell me that the pension situation has not been solved. So this is that opportunity now to again say that it has not been solved.
So the thing is that we've been doing this show. I mean, you more frequently than me, but me on an occasional basis.
Not because I don't ask.
Keep going. Right. All the jokes I could have made there weren't funny. That's the only problem.
I like the internal process, though. Usually I just say them and they're not
Did you see the deer in the lights of the piano?
I did. I saw the jokes. And you were right.
No, it was not a tough call.
Yeah.
A slow call, but an easy call. What were we talking about?
Don't tell that one. Don't tell that one.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But we've been having these conversations about the fact that our pension systems are in like super crazy amounts of debt. And you're very polite. You periodically invite me back, but nothing has really changed except that the pension systems are in more and more and more debt. And to just not send money over to put money in the pension system because you're mad at somebody else about something they said about something different, it's just suicidal. It's crazy. It's unnecessary, it's unhealthy, it's making the situation worse, and then eventually, hopefully by January of 2019, Bruce Rauner won't be governor anymore, it won't be his problem, but the person whose problem it will have a bigger problem because of that action.
So here's a transition. Yeah. Do you have any plans to run for governor? That's been in the paper.
It has been in the paper.
Yes. Does that make it true?
I have read things in the paper that aren't true.
True. But I've also read things in the paper that are true. Which one is this one?
I don't know.
God, I like that answer. I love that answer.
It's strangely honest, right?
Well, usually it's absolutely not, and then 3 days later, I'm announcing my run for the governor.
No, this is like a genuinely honest, I don't know. And let me tell you why. Bruce Rauner is a real tragedy for the state of Illinois. He needs to be defeated. But he doesn't just need to be defeated. We need to have someone with a real progressive economic vision that actually solves our problems. Because whatever else you want to say about Bruce Rauner, he's trying to solve the problems in a very, very dark right-wing way that'll cut wages and harm the middle class. The Democrats shouldn't say, we're not for that, and call it a day. The Democrats should say there is a different economic vision that solves our problems in a way that lifts up working people and grows the middle class. And we need to have someone who's going to run on that kind of strong, robust economic platform. And until I see that person, I'm going to be considering being that person.
You've beat up on the Republicans. Mm-hmm. I understand that. You're a Democratic state senator, but talking to people in my family, to friends, people on all different sides of the spectrum, one common thing is the parties are both broken. Mm-hmm. And that obviously includes the Democratic Party. So are you feeling good about the Democratic Party at the moment?
No. Look, there's the national problem that's really complicated and big. I'm going to stick to what I know best in answering the question, talk about the state. Illinois has a tremendously large fiscal problem that goes back for a long time. It got worse under Democratic governors and Republican governors for many decades. Illinois has a whole bunch of consecutively incarcerated governors from each party. Illinois has problems that suggest to me that our politics are broken and our political class is looking out for itself and not for the actual people of Illinois. Yeah. And there's a sense that I see in which there's kind of an agreement on all sides to take care of ourselves, to take care of the people we rely on to get elected, and not really take care of anybody else. And I don't think that's a Democratic Party that can be healthy in the long term, because the Democratic Party needs to be the party of the working class and the party of ordinary people. The Democratic Party thrived in Illinois because the Republicans kind of weren't organized or effective. And then Bruce Rauner walked in the door and put many, many tens of millions of dollars on the table to sort of buy himself an effective Republican Party, and everything's changed. And we're not going to outspend him, but if we have a vision that's connected to what ordinary people actually need in this state, we'll do fine. That's what we need to be.
Daniel Biss, everyone.
Thank you. You're fun.
Guests on the interview show all share one thing in common. They take risks. We'd like to thank Lifeway Foods, makers of probiotic kefir, for making possible this week's It Takes Guts interview.
There's one thing in the book that when I read it, I laughed so hard, because it's something that I deal with whenever you're on the show, and Amy's been on the show twice in the past when we do it as a live show, and that is describing you, because I always put children's author, and then I'm about to put an adult author, and as you point out in the book, that sounds like you write porn.
Yeah, I wrote that. It is. There actually is not a great way to segue from children's, like I could say adult, and it sounds like porny, and then I say like grown-up books, and it sounds like, I don't know.
You wouldn't say grown-up books.
No. So what's the answer? I don't know.
The answer is just to write a full-out porn book.
Okay.
That's the only answer you have. So talk about the book a little, and I want to, I guess, tee it up by saying this. There's a quote, and I don't want to make you sound pretentious because you're the furthest thing from, but there's a quote from Einstein that you love, which is it's that you can either look at life as there being no miracles, or you can look at life as being all miracles.
Everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle.
No, okay.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the launching off point in some ways for the book.
Well, that's in the chapter about serendipity. There's like a bunch of examples of serendipity in my life, and that's an interaction that I invite for the readers too, to send in their own serendipity stories. So I talk about serendipity and coincidence. At the end of the day, it's just math, really.
Scientists say they can explain it away.
Yes, there's all kinds of studies. It's really just math, and I get that intellectually, that's fair and that's right. But still, when those things happen to you in your life, they feel so miraculous that you want to believe that the power of the serendipity is something beyond just math and statistics.
So what's an example? You're at a book reading. I like this one. You're at a book reading and you say...
Okay, I'll tell the one about my son's bracelet.
Well, what about the one I was just going to tell?
You tell that. You tell that one.
No. Tell the bracelet one.
The bracelet one is, so I had, when my son Miles was born, I had a bracelet that, I'm not wearing it right now, but I always wear it, has his name and his birth date. I got it when he was born. Did not take it off. 20 years passed. And one day, last summer, we were in the kitchen. He was getting ready to go back to college. And I was really feeling the weight of him leaving. I was really sad. And this sort of voice in my head said, it's time to let him go. You have to let him go. and I was unpacking groceries, and at the exact minute that I said that to myself, and I like sort of like had a physical sensation about it, I heard a clink, and the bracelet had fallen off onto the counter. And that had never happened ever before. And I realized that what had happened was it didn't slip off. The clasp had worn all the way down. And it was that precise moment that it had released and fallen to the counter. So.
And so how do you explain it? Do you explain it that there's some higher thing going on? Do you explain that coincidence is just really freaking cool? Or do you explain?
I mean, I think you can maybe like, you can merge both. Like it can be the math statistics thing, and that is just the way that it happened, and maybe it doesn't mean anything, or it also actually means everything, right? It can be both those things. And sometimes I think we use serendipity to like, to reassure us that we're in the right place at the right time or the right thing's happening. It's kind of like this affirmation of some sort, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, one thing I came away liking a lot is that you don't seem to, a small event and a big event, in this book at least, get somewhat equal weight.
I am kind of smitten with the small moments, that's true.
And
I think that when you like look back on your year or decade or whatever, and let's say you're even documenting your family in whatever form that means, video, photos, inevitably it's like you want to see the like everyday stuff, like the kids just sitting at the kitchen eating breakfast or funny little moment. Like you're not going to go back and watch like the big school play or the graduation ceremony. It's like all those small things are the things that are like full of magic and that are really the bulk of life, right?
that'd be great if you like gathered everybody around to watch home movies and it was just your kids eating breakfast.
Those are
That'd
the
be
things
art.
you like
That'd
go
be
back and
pure-
see,
I
right?
love that.
Right? So.
Amy Krouse Rosenthal. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. No, I'm a writer. I'm well. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say I'm depressed or
No, I'm
something.
great.
No, okay. I'm a writer, I'm depressed. Bitter's New Black, I don't want to dwell on the past, but congratulations because we've just passed the 10-year anniversary for that book.
Yeah, that came out in March of 2006, and my entire universe is different now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because obviously when you wrote the book, that was the beginning of this new life for you. You were becoming a writer, you had a publisher. But since then, you are now a writer and you do something completely different than you did before, and your life is different how?
It is different. Well, here's the thing. When you sell your first book, you think, oh, this is it. I'm going to have overnight success. I'm going to have all these checks. What Bitter allowed me to do for the next 2 years was to keep my $12 an hour temp job. It wasn't until I sold my third book that I was actually able to stop getting people coffee and making their copies. I went to my first book signing and all the people from my temp job came and they stood in line and I signed their books and it was great. And on Monday, I was picking up their dry cleaning again.
Wait a minute. But that book was a New York Times bestseller.
That one didn't hit the Times list actually for years. I mean, it sold more than 1 million copies, but it was a very slow burn. I mean, that's something that people, I mean, I still get royalty checks now. Bought my house in Lake Forest, so thank you for reading.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very slow burn. And the thing that was really good about that is because I got such a low advance, it was profitable very quickly. And that's much more important than having a lot of sales, but having a huge advance.
So you want a low advance as a writer? That goes against everything that I would expect. Just give me the money.
Yeah, I just wanted a check. I didn't want to keep getting people coffee, but that's not how it worked out, but it was okay.
So what about you as a person, though? Because at the end of that book, you kind of, I mean, what made people love you about that book was that you were both shameless and honest at the same time. And for a lot of people, that was like, yes, finally, you are saying what I think. Then there were other people who said, whoa, 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 you are awful. I can't stand you. And then over the 10 years, you have seemed to, there was a great line in I Regret Nothing where you get a message from somebody who says to you, I don't like you anymore because now you seem to be content with your life.
I don't know how to address that. I mean, well, I could be unhappy, but why? I mean, why would I do that? I remember her name was Lorraine. And, I remember all of them. I specifically can't read anything about me because then I want to go find their house, all Jay and Silent Bob style, knock on their door and have a conversation with them. So I can't ever seek out anything people say about me.
Well, what's the worst you've done?
I don't. See, I stopped doing this like 7 years ago after I got in the early days of Twitter, into a Twitter war with someone in Brazil. And like, I don't have that
Whose
kind
name
of time.
was what?
I don't remember that. I don't remember. It was something that I wasn't familiar with. But I don't have that kind of time.
At a certain point, you decided, all right, the memoir thing is good, and I'm certainly good at it, but I want to try my hand at fiction. Was it the challenge, or was part of it that you didn't have as many experiences that you could, I don't know, complain about or joke about?
I have not landed a commercial airliner on the Hudson and saved 200 lives. I mean, there's only so much material I have in my real life. And also, the best books are rife with conflict. And I've worked very hard to eliminate a lot of conflict from my life. So there's just not that much. I mean, there's not that much. And I can't just spy on people because they think that's creepy.
If you could be absolutely 100% content, but you would never write another book again, would you take that deal?
I don't think I'd be capable. I think that I would always be composing something in my head. I mean, now, when I see something, I find myself actually narrating it. In my dreams, I find myself narrating scenes. I mean, it's embedded in me now. I don't think it's something that I could stop.
Well, you have to share your rules in marriage. One of them is that if somebody says the word, I insist, what's that rule?
That is a very important rule. This is another one of I think one of the reasons that Fletch and I have a pretty good marriage. There is the I insist card, there's no argument. You can be arguing about something, do you want to do this, not this, not this, I'll do it, no. And then the one person, and you can only pull it like a couple times a year. If you pull the I insist, then the other person has to comply. And my other important piece of marital advice is when somebody is upset about something, you ask them the question, do you want me to problem solve? Or do you want me to sympathize? Because especially...
Right, they're totally different things.
Exactly.
If you start to problem solve, the other person gets mad at you.
Exactly. So you clarify what it is that they need, because women generally want empathy and men generally want problem solving, but it's not always. So that is so important to clarify, because otherwise, whatever was a small incident could get really, really big, and you're just trying to help, and now you're mad.
That's wonderful. Jen Lancaster, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see this credit created by Mick Jagger, Martin Scorsese, and Rich Cohen.
One of the greatest credits in television history, by the way.
How did that happen?
I got tapped by Rolling Stone to go on the road with the Rolling Stones, and I became kind of friendly with Mick Jagger, and after I finished that, I'd written this...
Wait, stop. What do you mean you became friendly with Mick Jagger?
The Interview Show would like to thank Cards Against Humanity, Lifeway Foods, It Takes Guts, Field Notes, vintage-styled, made-in-the-USA pocket notebooks at 401 North Racine in Chicago or fieldnotesbrand.com, and Lagunitas. Beer speaks, people mumble, except on The Interview Show.